a smiling gentleman and his mischievous cartoon mouse. This well-known agreeable side of the animation legend obscures another, surprisingly aggressive one. Here we explore the politics of Walter E. Disney. Sincere thanks to all our new subscribers and viewers. We humbly ask that you give a thumbs up and share this, and that you please subscribe to keep high-quality content coming your way. Now back to the video. Better known for creating wholesome family entertainment, Disney grew increasingly active in politics and government propaganda in the early 1940s with the entry of the United States into World War II. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. Within hours, the U.S. Army occupied the Disney Burbank, California studio on a protective mission because of its close proximity to the Lockheed plant, which produced military planes. Disney's support for the war effort grew to include training and propaganda films paid for or subsidized by the government. One example was Der Führer's Face, a Donald Duck vehicle and animated satire of the Third Reich leadership. Its theme song was performed by Spike Jones, a leader of novelty and comedy bands. Disney also contributed animated sequences in Frank Capra's propaganda series, Why We Fight. On his own initiative and not with government money, Disney produced an animated film with live sequences called Victory Through Air Power, which argued that wars could be won using long-range heavy bombers that attacked the enemy on its home turf rather than in short bombing runs from aircraft carriers. This proved to be the exact strategy later employed by the Allies in their fiery terror bombing of Tokyo and multiple German cities, which claimed the lives of tens of thousands of civilians. Disney's studio work for the government came at an opportune time, as his staff had gone on strike earlier that year, and he had not had much box office success in recent months. Authors have speculated that without the government war contracts, Disney might have gone bankrupt and closed for good. When his studio staff went on strike in 1941, Disney suspected that communists wanted to either take over or destroy his business. He was later proven correct, as one strike leader named Hilberman was an active communist who had spent time in the Soviet Union. The strike ended when the federal government's National Labor Relations Board arbitrated a settlement. Anti-communist fervor crescendoed after the Soviet Union ceased being a valiant World War ally and overnight became a deadly Cold War enemy. Disney's concern with the communist threat was shared by others in the film industry, and in 1947 they formed the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals, an organization that opposed communism and fascism. The alliance, in its letter to a North Carolina U.S. senator, accused the film industry of providing safe harbor to communists on its payroll. The House Committee on Un-American Activities met to investigate Hollywood in October of 1947. Disney testified on the second day of proceedings as one of the voices friendly to the committee. Others included actors Ronald Reagan and Gary Cooper, who testified the day before. Of those considered unfriendly to the committee, several screenwriters, directors, and producers asserted their Fifth Amendment rights and refused to answer questions probing their ties to communism. This group, which became known as the Hollywood 10, were blacklisted, unable to find paying work in Hollywood for a number of years. Often dismissed as red-baiting rabble-rousers, those who warned of the dangers of communism tend to be vindicated by history. The many crimes and atrocities committed by the Soviets and other communist regimes are detailed in an 850-page book called The Black Book of Communism, which was once banned in France. One brief example is the Soviet mass murder of thousands of Polish officers in the Katyn forest in Poland, an atrocity blamed on the Germans during the Nuremberg trials. Not until 1992 did the Russian government acknowledge its responsibility for the crime. The 1930s and 40s brought an increase in spying and subversion by the Soviet Union. One of its agents, Harry Dexter White, rose to become the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State. Other Soviet agents, Fuchs, Gold, the Rosenbergs, and others, were later convicted of espionage stemming from the theft of atomic bomb secrets which were passed to the Soviets. This stolen data is credited with advancing the Soviet drive to build the bomb by many months, and allowing the Russians to catch up with the American bomb program. In his testimony before HUAC, Disney was asked about the leaders of the strike against his studio. He claimed the strike was coordinated by communists. When asked about the political leanings of his current staff, he said, quote, "I feel that everybody in my studio is 100% American." In responding to the question of whether the Communist Party should be outlawed, He said he was unqualified to answer, but that it was an un-American thing. This House probe of Hollywood was followed in later years by the investigations of Senator Joseph McCarthy of Wisconsin, who probed communist subversion in the federal government and elsewhere. In his propaganda work for the wartime government, and in his testimony before the House Committee on Un-American Activity, we see a side of Walt Disney not often thought of today, a fervently pro-American, anti-subversion Disney.